Everybody, it's Amanda. Today I'm going to be discussing syntax for style and, for example, variables, indentation, as well as loops. If you already know what this is, it's not going to help you. However, if you don't, this will definitely help you if you're a beginner. I wanted to make a quick video today. I'm going to cover a large topic in my next video. However, I haven't quite decided what I'm going to discuss yet. So if anyone has any recommendations on what they would like for me to cover for my next topic, I am open to that, and you can reach out to me. So as you can see, I'm going to start out with our variables inside of our main program. Again, I've included my input and output stream in my line 1 with my hashtag keyword include, followed by my IO stream inside of my brackets here. And then I'm going to be using cout and endl inside of my program. However, I have 3 variables and they have displayed 222. Ironically, I see that number far more than I would like to in my lifetime, and it's just a constant reminder, I guess. Anyway, going back to syntax versus style. So this is important to know. So as you can see, I have 3 different variables here. I have num1, num2, and num3, and they all displayed 222. That's because they're all assigned 2. And then I went ahead and displayed them. And so as you can see, the syntax of these all work. And the syntax is what I mean is that's required by the program. And as you can see, it displayed inside of my program. So going back to each variable, if I were to change the syntax now and make it unable to run, so now I have that. So if I were to run my program, it's like, ooh, it's like, no, that's not going to work. I don't know what that is. As you can see, int is no longer blue, which means that int is no longer a keyword according to C++, because C++ doesn't know what you're trying to do here, because that is the syntax of the program. Again, syntax is also known as the grammar or language of the program. So you're learning a new language. As I said in my very first video, you are learning a new language. So this is something to keep in mind, that the program doesn't know what you're trying to do here. So if I go ahead and add a space, as you can see, again, int turns blue, letting me know that it's a keyword. I follow by my variable name and my jumbled up assignment operator, which people call the equal sign in the beginning. However, whenever you have 2 variables usually next to each other, again, this is going to be a style preference. This is what we would call a style preference. And there are, from what I've heard, I'm not for sure because I haven't worked for a company yet. There are companies that have you change the style. So I guess whatever, if you could type like that and it change your style, I'm not sure. However, I'm just letting you know from a beginner standpoint, you don't want to be jumbling up your variables like this. You're going to get confused, and nor do you want to get in the habit of that. But anyway, going on. So as you can see, I have my normal assignment now. So I have number 2 or num2, which is basically equivalent to num1. I was just using it to show you that example. So I'll go ahead and toss that one out. Actually, I'll keep that one and toss out the first one because I'm going to show you something else. All right, so now I come down here, and if you remember from my previous video, this is going to be known as the uniform initialization. So uniform initialization just basically means that you don't have to include the assignment operator. However, you have to include these curly braces. Otherwise, it will not allow you to initialize. So again, I can put it closer. That's just style preference. So that's still initializing it. So now when I run the program, it's just going to display 22. As we can see, 22. And again, that's style preference. That is also another form of syntax as well, however. So we have style preference, and then we also have syntax. This can be the syntax for declaring a variable, as well as this could be the syntax for declaring a variable. It's going to just depend on your preference. As you can see though, if I were to add this, it would turn it in to red squiggly lines, be like, no, that's because it's no longer in syntax. It doesn't know what you're trying to do. So I have to add a space that's allowing me to know that I'm declaring a new variable, and I'm displaying the information down here. Going below, I've included these cout statements because now I'm going to show you. So I showed you the syntax and the style preference. However, if you didn't catch it, this is where the indentation comes in. So as your program comes in, you don't want everything over on the side as I have it. You want to move over with the indentation. And as you can notice, so as I'm starting out, it will automatically go where it needs to indent to. So again, it's going to indent. I can move it over if I want to, tab it over, however you want to do it. You can move it over, but that's going to be an indentation example. However, before we go into indentation any further, I wanted to discuss these cout statements right here. So in my previous video, I told you that my preference for indel is just to stay consistent, and it flushes the buffer each time. It's not necessary. So that's something to keep in the back of your mind when it comes to new line characters. So this is going to be a new line character syntax for style preference. So again, as you can see, my syntax is okay, even though everything's all jumbled up here. I have my cout because I'm using my std scope resolution operator cout followed by my semicolon up here. Again, that's syntax. So I don't have to include std cout every time I want to make a cout statement inside of my main program. However, when I come down to my stream insertion operator and then I make a space and then stream insertion operator, and then here is my new line character. This new line character just instantly and simply just creates a new line character. So it does exactly what indel does. However, it doesn't flush the buffer like indel. That is something for you to look into and just know for the time being. A lot of people use this. Go for it. It's up to you. I just use this indel to stay consistent as of right now. However, that's for you to know. So again, indel flushes the buffer and creates a new line character. And we're going to discuss the syntax on that real fast. So now I can go ahead and I can make a cout statement with a string literal. Again, this is what we would classify it as a string literal. This is the syntax for a cout statement with a string literal inside of it. If I wanted to add the new space character, I can. However, it still has to stay inside of these quotes. If I wanted to add an extra space, I need my cout statement followed by my stream insertion operator, again with my new line character. And now I'm going to display to hello world with a space, with another space, followed by 2. And as you can see, I have 2, hello world, space, and 2. Going into my next topic, I'm going to talk about indentation. So again, I kind of briefly discussed it earlier. So as you can see, when we come into our main, it automatically indents for us. We can see right here, and that's where we would want to indent inside of our program. We don't want to have it starting all the way over here, unless that's what your company prefers. Again, I haven't worked for a company, so I'm not for sure. But I do know that for indentation, you do want to follow the guidelines for the indentation within inside of our program. So I'm going to show you an example, and the loops kind of follow along with it. So I guess we can just kind of combine these together. So I'm going to do a loop for an example. So I will start out with a for loop. And again, my integer name I will start out at 0. I is less than 10, and I'm going to increment I. And this is where we're talking about style and syntax again. So going back to style and syntax, if I wanted to for syntax preferences, I can show you that I can have all of this jumbled up together inside of these parentheses. And then so I have my integer I, which is assigned 0 with my semicolon. I is less than 10 with my semicolon. And then using when I increment I within my for loop parameters, then I don't have to include my semicolon. But just for reading purposes and for your own purposes, you can definitely, it's encouraged and highly encouraged, I should say, to indent your code and use spaces. However, I'm pretty excessive with the spaces, so I'm open to changing my style as well as I feel everybody should be. However, again, it depends on if you're going to work for yourself or if you're going to work for a company, I guess. So I+1, that's what I'm going to display just to keep it simple. And as you can see here, again, inside of my for loop, now I have an indentation line right here, and I have an indentation line right here. This is letting me know that I'm within my scope of my for loop now, and this is my indentation. When I hit the space bar, it's going to instantly know that this is where I should indent inside of my for loop. At least that's what's suggested for indentation. Realistically, I could go over here and then display it. As you can see, however, that's not really encouraged because that's super confusing. So that kind of gives you an idea on your indentation for your style and your syntax for that. I went ahead and commented out my other code just to make it clear. So again, as you can see, well, that was my previous code actually. So I went ahead and I was messing around with my code a little bit. But so as you can see, I displayed 1 through 10. That's because my index is initialized to 0, my I variable, which is going to increment, and it's going to add a 1 to it, which is where we get the 1 through 10, and then the space with the endl. However, so again, I don't want you to forget this. So this variable only exists inside of this for loop, and its job is to increment. So that's where it's incrementing. So if I were to multiply this, the first answer is going to be 0. That's what I was going to show you too. So just to show you. So again, you got to make sure that you're using the right operators to make sure that you're doing what you want to do with your program. However, also paying attention again. So I'm going to come down to the indentation, and then I can add loops inside loops. I've briefly discussed nesting before. If there's a math problem you want me to work, please feel free to shoot it my way, as long as it's not like Cal 2 or Cal 3 or something like that. But if you like this video, please like, share, subscribe. I didn't really cover as much as I wanted to on the last step. So if I have a continuation video, go ahead and add it. Otherwise, I hope everybody has a great day, and thanks for your time. I hope that this helps. Please, if you have an idea, please comment, and I will definitely take it into consideration. Thanks.